Today I'm doing a video that I haven't done in a while. Hey guys, welcome back. Bolt Spider here, and today we're going to be looking at the OCG metagame report for February. The Japan, China, mainland, and South Korea during this time for tournaments, 15 tournaments, and actually we have a Shanghai tournament as well that I like to look at. Now, let's take a look at their breakdown. As we can see, tournaments are still strong in the lead, followed right behind with Purely, Adamantimators, Bestial, Exorcister, Cashier, and Runic. Looks like Labyrinth has fell off, but let's take a look at their decks. So we have a 7-1 and finished third place in the 23rd RAM Comp, which had 80 participants, and finished first place at the 16th Tulo Championship. A 2v2 team tournament. That is something I'd like to see TCG do, which had 16 teams, 32 participants. He ran 2 Exceed Encore in the side deck on Saturday, but switched it to 2 Imperms on Sunday. He noted that some Purely decks started running Vanity's Fiend. Thus, Infinite Impermanence would be able to negate it on your turn. This could be searched out by Triple Tactics Thrust. So this is what tier limits look like in the OCG. Ours will look completely different from what they have because ours got slaughtered, which all of these three right here, Sharon to Merly, are limited, and all the Ishizu cards are limited. But I do see TCG leaning over to what they're playing for techs, like Hell Shadal, Beast, and Squamata, just because a Foolish, a Draw, and extra mills. Very good. Outside of that, we still see the 3 Kingdom Swamp because that's your only really good replacement because it also gets you polymerization. Now, in the extra deck, as we can see, they're running Grapha because Grapha is very great, Winda because you can summon Winda easily, and they still have Sprite Elf and Sprite Spring. I can't wait to see what their next ban list is next month because this deck is probably going to get slaughtered to bits. After that, Purely, we have the person going 6-1, excluding 1 bye, and finished second place at this 171st Teos Championship, which had 33 participants. Volcanic Shell functions as a discard fodder for Purely spells, or their quick play spells, because all their quick play spells are, you activate them, you can summon out a Purely monster, but you discard a card. So that's actually very good. To summon, a Purely from deck, Volcanic Shell effect activates in the graveyard and could be sent from the deck to the graveyard by opponents, Kelbeck, or Agito, which allows you to get free cards off of it. However, Volcanic Shell has to remain in the graveyard during resolution to add another copy of Volcanic Shell from the deck to the hand, and could be disrupted by Medora, Keldo, or DD Crow. Vanity's Fiend in the side deck would catch people by surprise, especially since most players would be citing Exceed Encore and would be unable to deal with Vanity's Fiend. However, Vanity's Fiend does not protect your purely Exceed monsters from Exceed Encore, and they would still be returned to the extra deck. Exceed Encore could still be activated when Vanity's Fiend is applied, materials detached, the monster goes back to the extra deck, but nothing gets summoned back. And it's the exact same thing as the ruling with Vanity's Emptiness versus Exceed Encore. So this is what Purely's are looking like. And as we can see, let's talk about some of the cards. So Volcanic Shell is very good because it's a infinite resource when you look at it. And also you can put it back with Medora and Keldo. So you have more infinite resources. In the extra deck, we could see they're running the Agent Link 2 because it's a Link 2, and it's actually very good Link 2. And Sky Striker Ace Azalea for removal, which is very, very nice. After that, in the side deck, as we could see, there's Dimension Fissure because you're only running 6 main monsters, 2 hand traps that you could discard to the graveyard, and Volcanic Shell, but you're most likely siding in 4 and swapping for the Volcanic Shell. Vanity's Fiend, I might actually do that tech for this deck because that seems really, really good. And honestly, we can see that they're still trying to figure out ratios for the Exceeds. 1 Happiness, 2 Beauty, 2 Plum, 2 Noir. None of the bigger Happiness. That is surprising to me. But overall, I really like to see what this deck can do with the TCG when we get our new cards like Lily and the new spell card that I don't remember the name of. Emancipators. Oh boy. This got first place at China City Tournament Shanghai in 2023. And this is a mouthful. So this is Emancipator, Super Heavy Samurai, Ishizu, Vernus. So this is a 60 card pile deck that the OCG can run. And while we're going to be talking about this, I want to talk about a few of the choices. You have Power Tool Braver Dragon being able to get to both of your 2 equipped spells, which is Rod of Silence and Smoke Grenade of the Thief. So what happens is, once you have Rod of Silence on the field, anything else targeting that monster gets negated and destroyed. So I believe if you re-equip this from your graveyard, the Smoke Grenade, it is retargeting the monster, so it instantly gets blown up and you get to rip a card out of your opponent's hand. All this is possible because of Power Tool Braver Dragon. I'm glad we don't have Smoke Grenade legal in the TCG because this deck would be very crazy. But then again, we don't have Grass or Block Dragon, so that definitely dampens down the consistency of this deck. And also, all of our Shizu cards are at 1. So I think in the TCG, this would more be a 50 card pile than a 60 card pile. After that, we can see the Super Heavy Samurai engine being used with Prodigy, Bike, and Scarecrow. So that all requires you don't have spells and traps in the graveyard. Makes it a little bit tricky with Grass, Call by the Grave, and all that, but there are ways that you can get them out of the graveyard, which I really do like. Now, if your opponent chains Ash Blossom to your Super Heavy Samurai Bike effect, then you would have to let it pass, since negating it with Call by the Grave would cause you to be unable to activate Prodigy's Pendulum effect. If the opponent chains Ghost Ogre or Max Seed to your Super Heavy Prodigy, then you could respond with Call by the Grave to negate those two, since Prodigy only requires you to have no spells or trap cards in the graveyard to activate its effect. But doesn't matter if you have spells and trap cards in your graveyard when it resolves. If your opponent activates Maxi when Prodigy is activated as a pendulum spell, you could respond with Call by the Grave, else you would be unable to activate Prodigy's pendulum effect later. Thus again, Super Heavy Samurais is the best used hand trap before Super Heavy Samurai Prodigy. Pendulum effect could be activated since they would be unable to respond with Call by the Grave. So this is just saying that you have to let things get negated, like your Bike, or if you after that, if your Bike gets negated and you have Prodigy, activate Prodigy, use its effect, then you chain your Call by the Grave, because that's all it really does for you. After that, we're looking at Bestials went 7-2 at the 29th Hagataka Championship, which had 63 participants. Now, Bestials is a whole entire thing to talk about, because they can run a Super Heavy Samurai engine. They also can run things like Assault Synchron and many, many other things. Now, with this build, it's centered around getting out level 2 monsters or tuners, which I believe that's what Bike is, and getting into things like Chaos Ruler and going up into 3 level 10 synchros, because that's the power of Chaos Ruler. Now, this is very, very long. And as we can see, people really love the Super Heavy Samurai engine. And honestly, I could see why, because it just gets you a free few negates. And it really does help that they have Sprite Elf, because they could just summon back the bike so that you could synchro again. I believe bike is the tuner for, yep, for this reason. So you can make it into many, many synchro monsters. So bike plus Chaos Ruler equals a level 10. Summon back the Chaos Ruler, summon back the bike, make another level 10. And if you're running the Assault Synchron version, you can use a couple effects. One revives the Chaos Ruler from being banished, which is Dispeter. And then Assault Synchron summons itself back, so you can go into a third level 10. But this build is also running Cyberstein, so you can summon out Nichirio Exterio, which I really do like. So I think the end board of this deck would probably be like Nichirio Exterio, Dispeter, Barone, the Sword Soul, and along with a Sprite Elf. In my opinion, that's really, really cool. And as we can see, this the side deck, all monsters Archfiend-centric because it's Pendulum Monster, Ghost Ogre, Ghost Mourner, DD Crow. A lot of the staple stuff, running the two left Bestials in the side deck because you kind of want max consistency in this. And now we have Exorcister Ren. Went 8-1 at the same championship and got first place, which had 63 participants. That is pretty nice. Exorcister is a deck that I rarely know much about, but they have been using the new Sakatama with Aratama as a rank 4 engine. So if you open up Sakatama, it's an additional normal summon. If you open up Aratama, you get a free full combo, because you go activate Sakatama, summon out itself or Aratama, I believe, because it's been a little bit. Essentially, Sakatama is a level 4 extender that uses a normal summon, allowing it to be compatible with Exorcister Martha. A new combo brought along by the Spirit Monsters is normal summon Aratama, and use its effect to add Sakatama from the deck. Sakatama's effect would then normal summon itself from the hand, and Aratama plus Sakatama goes into Exorcister Casptel. And Casptel is one of the main cards, I believe, and that is in Japanese. I don't want in Japanese. It cannot be destroyed by battle with a monster special summon from the graveyard. You can only use each of the following effects of Casptel once per turn. If this Exceed summon card is using an Exceed monster as a material, need to play a special summon monster from the graveyard. But you can detach one material from this card, add one Exorcister monster from your deck to your hand. And you do get Martha from the deck. Martha would special summon herself from the hand and special summon Elise from the deck. Martha and Elise are then able to make Mikalis. Sorry if I'm butchered that name. Whose effect is add a spell or trap card from your hand. Finally, Casptel and Mikalis are made to make Magnifica. While you may not always open Aratama, any level 4 Exorcister monster with Sakatama would be suffice to perform the above combo. So if you only open up Sakatama and a Exorcister, that's absolutely fine, because that's still full combo. But I do really like what OCG is doing with this deck, and I cannot wait to see what they could do later. In conclusion, tier elements remain in the lead. Purely Adamantipator, Bestials, and Exorcister follow behind. And let's take a look at some of the topping decks from the China City Tournament Shanghai. I'm only going to be looking at, well, we saw this list, and well, we already covered Adamanticators, but second place was purely. Third, fourth, fifth, third and fourth were tier elements. But if we look, third, fourth, and fifth were tier elements. Exorcister took 6th. Mathmatic Ignister was 9th. Kashiro was 10th, and another Grass Super Heavy Samurai Ishizu Vernisylph, Adamancipator got first. But I'm really happy to see that their meta isn't fully all Ishizu, because that is quite a lot of Ishizu to go through every single duel. But it is still 33% of the meta. But anyways, I've been Bolt Spider. I hope you guys did enjoy, and see you guys in the next video.